were called here in the summer of '96. North American Mission Board sent us, my wife and I, our family and I, as praxis team members from the North American Mission Board.
You know, now I know the Lord called us here, and I know that He gave me the peace. And of course, I would follow David anywhere he went anyway, but but having the Lord's call was very important, and it took me a while, but once I knew that this was where I needed to be and that I would not be happy anywhere else.
We were sent here and called here by Harmony Baptist Association and Bethel Baptist Church in order for the purpose of planting a church in Fanning Springs.
And that's true, and I still feel that way. You know, Florida is home to me now, and these people are my family, people in our church.
We were told initially that many attempts were made to plant a church here, and so we were concerned about the spiritual battles we would face. But community ministry, my wife and I both taught that it was going to be a 10-year commitment minimum, and we were ready to go for the long haul to be a vital ministry that's available, that's biblical, and willing to serve this community and love this community where they're at. So we were praying about where we would meet, and it was interesting that the Fairground Committee was having their board meeting that week, which only have it quarterly.
And he came home and told me about the cattle arena. And, you know, I'm kind of a city girl, and it just surprised me that they would have a cattle arena to where they would have a fair at. And when I think of fair, I don't think, horses and cows and weighing animals, but.
And we asked one of the men if they thought we could use the cattle arena. Well, he actually introduced me to every board member, and it was unanimous. And when we discovered that it was the only facility in this community that would even welcome us in, and they did unanimously.
But that's where it was going to meet, so we went in there, and it was pretty interesting because it was kind of smelly and it was big and concrete, but it was perfect. It just where we needed to be and where the Lord had us to be.
A typical church plant, usually the sponsor church tends to intentionally send a group out to plant a church. We were brought in, and thankfully we had the wonderful sponsorship of Bethel. And but as far as early on, we did not have a typical core group.
One of the things that I'm just so thankful for is how God sent us, and from the very beginning, that some of them are still with us through this right now, and then some of us, God has sent people to minister and to be there with us through the time that we needed them.
We discovered in the first 3 months of cultivation, from the time we hit the ground in January of '97 until April when we launched our first service, during that cultivation time, God put together a core group.
There's so many that have been with us through this whole thing, but that's just a little bit of tidbit of how God has blessed us with people.
God is amazing in sending the right people at the right time. We're meeting at the cattle arena. We've been told from one of the board members or the new chairman that we had to leave, that our days were numbered. We had a man named Earl Feigert who came from the community, found out later he wasn't even saved, and he wanted the blueprints. The next thing we know, he's driving stakes, and he's got a transit on our land, driving stakes to put the footers in. And we're like, you're moving a little too fast here.
When we got the property, and David put a lot of prayer in it. Well, we all did. We put a lot of prayer in it, and I started building these wonderful people that God sent to us that just went in and just gave so much of their time and their energy to build a lot of the older people that lived in the community that were retired. That was just such a true blessing to us.
And then we found that as we endeavored into the volunteer building process, and we watched the building rise, that there was never a month that God did not supply the need through the 3-year challenge to pay our bills to build our current building debt-free.
Sometimes I don't think about it too much, and I'll take it for granted, but then when I think back, just going through all of this, thinking back, I just amazed at what God did, and I know that He'll do it again. If it's His will, I know that we will have the same wonderful experiences as we did building the building we're in now.
One of the things I think I've always loved about Fanning Springs Community Church is the way that they love people. They enjoy folks, they love people. I've watched through the years our church has grown, different people have come in. I just love that, I love the hope.
Oh, it's just exciting. Our church is going forward with a whole new opportunity to share the gospel with people, Fanning Springs, surrounding area. I'm just very excited about it.
Well, Beyond 18 is our really a culmination of 18 years of this congregation growing, not just with numbers, but spiritual growth.
I just think about all the gifts, the way that God's created folks, the gifts that they possess, and I'm very excited and very hopeful about what's going to happen in the kingdom. I love this community, I love the folks of this church, and I am so excited about about it exploding, and just the love of Jesus being carried into this community.
What encourages me most is the many, many people I have met who are so committed to Christ, to just going beyond the average, how do you do, nice to see you, to really sharing Christ and having a meaningful relationship with a lot of brothers and sisters in Christ.
One of the things I'm excited is about our children's ministry and our youth ministry, and having children in the youth ministry and the children's ministry. I have a personal investment in it. I'm having a personal excitement about those who have come, and Wednesday night especially exciting about seeing our Awanas, our truth seekers, and then seeing the great youth group. And obviously with the children taking over our multi-purpose room and the youth maxing out the trailer, it's wonderful to see the small education space overflowing with the various small groups. And so Wednesday has really presented us a challenge with just space. My wife works the nursery. She's kind of headed that up over the years, and we have seen our nurseries just suffer greatly because of space for our toddlers to run around, to have the space that's adequate for them, the kids to have fun, and the nursery workers to have the freedom of enjoying their experiences rather than being crowded. The Children's Church challenge of releasing our children into the children's room and just them being packed. If we're going to grow, and if we're going to look to the future and believe and trust that God is going to continue to make disciples and add growth to the church like He said He did in Acts 2, then we got to prepare that now. And as long as people are here that need the Lord and who are unchurched, then our job is not complete.
Beyond 18 is the name that we came up with, or the leadership came up with, that is just going into the next phase of Fanning Springs Community Church and the building. And just we see how much, and we know how much God blessed us the past 18 years, and we're just so excited beyond this past 18 years. What's God going to do next?
We as a church rejoice that it was the nickels and dimes. It was the small, it was the equal sacrifice, not equal giving, but equal sacrifice. And just like the little boy who was willing to share his sack lunch that day with the 5,000, there was a willingness for somebody to share, and there was God willing to take that willingness and multiply it for His glory. And I am convinced that not equal giving, but equal sacrifice is a way for God to show up, and He did, and He will, to multiply the very little means. And that if somebody thinks, well, I don't have much, let me tell you something. God could multiply it.
Beyond 18.
Beyond 18.
Beyond 18.
Beyond 18.